All right, welcome on into another episode of the Lowdown Sports Show, ladies and gentlemen. This is obviously a solo dolo episode today for those that are watching over on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. BJ was not able to make it. He got called in for an extra day at work, so our boy is away for today. But we are still rocking and rolling as usual. Just want to welcome you guys in for a new episode of The Lowdown, where we get the lowdown on all things basketball. This show is brought to you by TeePublic Fanatics and SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. Use SeatGeek on your next purchase when you want to go to a concert, game, or anything else, and use code The Lowdown. That's all caps THA Lowdown for $20 off your first order. Got a chock full show today, ladies and gentlemen. No WNBA today, but it's an NBA-filled show, and we're doing another Lowdown mock draft. Cue the music. The draft isn't open yet, but just getting y'all in the rhythm. But we're gonna get to that. Our Lowdown mock draft. Our second one going to be happening here today, as well as talking about some of the things that have been going on in the NBA. We've had some trades happen. We got some free agents and some possible destinations for those guys. And I'm going to talk about that all here today. Probably not going to be as lengthy of an episode as it usually is, but we'll still get through everything as much as we can. Okay? All right, so without further ado, we don't have to ask BJ if he's ready. He's not here, so I'm ready to go. Hopefully you guys are ready to go. Now let's start out with some hoops talk, man. We'll get to that Lowdown mock draft here in the pit. Got plenty of time for that. That's going down tonight, so make sure y'all check out that live draft later tonight and see the Spurs get fortunate once again and take off number one with Wemby. But that's going down tonight. June 22nd for you guys that are listening as we record on a Thursday per usual. This episode will be dropping tomorrow, of course. So one of the first things that I wanted to dive into today, I had sent this to my brother BJ, and we were going to chat about it. Now we're going to have to solo chat about these trades here, but a lot of moves have gone down over the past week so far, and some of them were so topsy-turvy, including the one of the ones that we're gonna talk about later, and that's the Porzingis trade that kind of finalized up recently with three teams involved. But we're gonna start this one with one that happened a few days ago, at least now, maybe more, and that's Bradley Beal getting traded from the Wizards to the Suns. They finalized a deal to add Bradley Beal from the Wizards. Phoenix reportedly receives the three-time All-Star from Washington and Bradley Beal in exchange for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and some future picks. This was all reported by Woj, and Phoenix has a new big three, or, I mean, you could say big four. Woj says big three with Beal, Booker, and KD, but you can't forget about, DeAndre Ayton, who is still out there, at least for right now. The Suns, we all, of course, know, fell pretty short this year compared to years past, where, in 2021 they made the finals, and then the year before they were battling with the Mavs to get to the Western Conference Finals, couldn't get past them, so they've been stuck in the second round the last couple of years after making the NBA Finals, and they're hoping Bradley Beal can be a part of what's getting them back into the finals, ladies and gents. But who knows? Bradley Beal, a dynamic scorer, but can he provide what else the Suns need? And that's depth. With them getting rid of, Shamet, starter Chris Paul and some other picks, that hurts the depth purposes because Shamet came off the bench, and you're looking for a new starting point guard. Beal is not a point guard; he's a two guard for sure. They could probably stretch to the three if you want to put him at the three instead of D Book. I'd have to double check and see which one's taller. That might help the case as well. And as far as versatility, Beal is probably, I would say, a more aggressive defender than Devin Booker is. But that's the deal. Chris Paul still in Washington as of now. I don't anticipate him staying in Washington for any bit because, what is it for him out there besides a big old rebuild? And he's been a part of that once with the OKC Thunder, and you see he didn't stay long, but they had enough talent out there to where I imagine once he showed up, he realized that they had enough talent to where, maybe we can make the playoffs with this team. And they did with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dort, and some other guys that most people don't even remember the names of, including me. But that is the deal. Bradley Beal over in Washington, or out of Washington to Phoenix, and Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and a handful of second-round picks and multiple pick swaps, Sham says, in this deal here. So, I mean, obviously the winner, you could probably say, is the Suns, just because they get a young, dynamic scorer who can help their team immediately. But they also lose depth in the process and, future picks and some of the pick swaps. It may end up being fortunate for them, considering the fact that Washington may still be at the bottom of the barrel of the league, in the coming years. But have to get specific on which exactly, picks are being swapped in this exchange here. But, Phoenix right now, kind of the leaders here in that deal. Just because they got the better player. I mean, Chris Paul is, he's a future Hall of Famer, but right now at his ripe age of, 38 and not too many years left in the league, he's still a really good player, but he always gets hurt. And, Phoenix has seen that over the course of the years that they've had him. And, had they had a healthy Chris Paul, who knows what the team could have done. But, it's just that age and that type of player. Two-way point guards don't typically last that long in the league. I don't have any analytics for this one. This kind of just came up, but I mean, it's true. I mean, you usually see the more one-dimensional point guards have the longer careers. I mean, you have the one kind of outliers in like Gary Payton, who played for an extended bit of time until he got his championship with the Miami Heat in 2006. But usually it's the pass first or the just the offensive guards who usually have the longer careers because it's easier for them to adjust and keep doing what they've always been doing well. Defensive guards, I mean, you lose your defense after a while. I mean, that's not completely the case for Chris Paul, but, it's definitely not helped him in the injury department. It's kind of what has led to some injuries is the fact that he's such, a hard-nosed defender as well, and always has been. Right, so that is the Suns and Washington deal here. So, and the deal reportedly caught Chris Paul off guard in an interview on Monday's episode of Good Morning America in New York. Chris Paul said he found out about the deal while he was traveling to be on the show on Good Morning America. He said, quote, "I was surprised too," Paul said with a laugh. Said, quote, "I found out on the plane yesterday flying here in this league. Anything can happen. Just figure out what's next." So we'll see what is next for the Washington Wizards and what is next for Chris Paul, if they could find another suitor to add into that shuffling of the guard there to find him, a better home than what he's at. Or I imagine Chris Paul, as Chris Paul might do, try and seek some type of buyout to join a better team that's going to be contending for something this year. Because at this point in his career, he's not trying to be a part of the rebuilding process. Years ago with OKC, that was probably okay, and he thought he still had a decent amount of time left. But clock is ticking on a 38-year-old two-way point guard in the NBA. So we'll see what happens for Chris Paul. There's a lot of good destinations for him. People would like the Lakers to join up with LeBron. LeBron stays out there. Chris Paul, LeBron, and AD. And for those who remember, the Banana Boat crew, that would complete LeBron playing with every single member of the Banana Boat crew. Played with D. Wade in Miami and in Cleveland. Played with Carmelo in LA. Played with – who else was on that crew? Was that it? It's just those three? Yeah. Okay, so it's just those two. And then Chris Paul would be probably in L.A. with LeBron. There's been those minor talks of LeBron possibly joining Dallas because of Kyrie's invitation. But as much as I would love that as a Dallas Mavericks fan, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't see it happening. It's just one of those that would just have to be an ideal scenario for that to go down there. And, if the Mavericks happen to reel in, say, a Draymond Green, who's a free agent, then that might entice guys like LeBron James to come over more and would certainly slide Chris Paul into the mix. And that would be quite an interesting team out there. But who knows? We still got some time left. There's a draft tonight. Some moves will probably be happening in the midst of this episode. Hopefully I don't miss them. But yeah, still plenty of time left to go, and we'll see what happens with those moves there. So that's the Chris Paul and Bradley Beal deal there, and I already alluded to Draymond Green. So let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Draymond Green. Draymond Green, former Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time champion, ladies and gents, and is looking for a new home. There's a lot of places that can be possibles for Draymond Green. The Lakers, if LeBron James stays there, then obviously that entices Draymond to join him over there. Sacramento maybe might not be a bad place, but a little strange considering the Sabonis stomping on the chest situation. Maybe that's not the most possible after all. The Dallas Mavericks that we already mentioned. I mean, you add Draymond Green to that. I mean, the Mavericks will still need a rim protecting center no matter what. They need a big down low to help things out. And, as good of a defender as Draymond is, and as much as he would help this team in Dallas still needs rim protection. Point blank, period. Draymond makes the team better. You get a nucleus of Draymond, Luka, and Kyrie, and that sounds kind of good. But you still have the defect of rim protection. Mavericks have absolutely none. And you don't want to keep Dwight Powell if you're the Dallas Mavericks, or you shouldn't. JaVale McGee's not helping you out rim protection-wise. Sorry, JaVale. Sorry, Imani. But got to get rid of JaVale here and find a replacement. Or he can come off the bench and try and contribute that way. Maxi Kleber can still help you out, but and he's a decent defender, but he's not a rim protector like what we need. And if the Mavericks would have done the smart thing last year, no offense to Jaden Hardy, shout out to Jaden Hardy, they should have gotten Walker Kessler. If you watched the Lowdown mock draft last year, that's who I wanted for the Mavericks in that pick. And Walker Kessler, all rookie team player, big-time player for the Utah Jazz this year. I mean, he was racking them up, doubles and blocks throughout the course of the season. It was big time. And he would have been big time out in Dallas helping them out because they sure could have used him and put him in prime position to help the team out for sure. But that's another conversation for another day. Maybe the Mavericks will come to their senses and try and reel in somebody like that instead of drafting one. But time is ticking on that because there are some nice centers and bigs. You don't have to necessarily be a center to be the rim protector that they need. You could be a college power forward, and then the Dallas Mavericks slide you over to center if you have that ability, especially if you get a Draymond Green and you're taller than him, then you're definitely playing there. But we'll see. Draymond Green got a lot of suitors that are going to be clamoring for his services, as you can imagine. Another place that you could look out for Draymond to possibly land if he's in a rebuilding mode. I mean, the Houston Rockets could really use some help out there, and to rebuild a culture and bring some tough, hard-nosed defense out there. Draymond could definitely help in that regard out there. It would be a massive offer if it becomes about money. It would be interesting. It would be more interesting if James Harden was seriously trying to go ahead and come back to Houston. I guarantee if he has some assurances from Draymond Green, then he might be going ahead and having his way on back out there. And it might entice Draymond Green that much more to go to Houston if he sees James make his way back out there to hoop. But that's a possibility. The Utah Jazz, I mean, they've got the cap room and flexibility to add some big-time players if they want. They've got great draft assets too. The roster isn't necessarily what it would need to be for competing for a championship. I mean, there's some tweaks that you can still make within this roster to make things happen. Because at one point in time, the Utah Jazz were in the playoff picture, surprisingly enough, and they could be again in the early going with the way Lauri Markkanen was playing for them last year. You add just a little bit to that. You added Draymond Green on side, a Lauri Markkanen, and more than likely upgrade the guard position, which you could possibly do in this year draft. Can't remember what their highest pick is, but you still have a chance. And I mean, a lot of teams are still willing to deal right now. Oh, we just got breaking news on Chris Paul. This one actually popping up on Underdog for me. Let me check their news feed. No. Oh, wait, here it is. Oh, wait, no. It's not on there yet, but it popped up. Chris Paul was traded to Golden State. I gotta see this deal now. Okay. Wizards are fine. All right, I'm gonna open it now. This is from Woj, and it's not done yet. They're finalizing right now. So breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, of those who are watching the Lowdown right now: Chris Paul being traded to the Golden State Warriors. So let's see where this is at in this big old shebang of stuff from Woj here. Okay, it's not showing it on the app properly. I want to get this news for y'all, though, Mr. Woj. I want to see the details of this here trade because that is interesting. Jordan Poole is in the deal as well, by the way. Okay, so 5 minutes ago, they're finalizing the deal, and just a minute later, Woj says the deal is agreed upon. So here's what it is. The Washington Wizards finalizing a deal to send Chris Paul, the point guard, to the Golden State Warriors. For who, you might ask? Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole. It's a package that includes Jordan Poole and future draft assets. So, Chris Paul, you are a Golden State Warrior. And that is sickening. If you're Draymond Green, now it's time to go back to Golden State and talk money. It's time to go back to Golden State and talk money. Bob might be gone, but go talk to Mr. Dunleavy and be like, hey, I saw y'all got Chris. Jordan's gone now. You know how I felt about Jordan. So, y'all want me back? Those possibilities are there. They're there now. But that's crazy breaking news. Jordan Poole and a package. Oh, Shams has got the details here. Warriors are sending Poole a protected first-round pick in 2030. 2030. And a second-rounder in 2027 to the Wizards for Chris Paul. Wow, what a steal. What a steal for a backup point guard. Because you're not starting him. You have Curry. But goodness, Chris Paul off your bench. Ew. Yo, that's crazy. Chris Paul off your bench in Golden State. And you just get rid of Poole. And for a protected first in 2030 and a second in 2027, 4 years from now. That is such a steal. Dunleavy is in his bag, boys. He's in his bag. He is in his bag. Well, there you go. There's some updates on the news, and golly, Draymond could be considering going back now. That was another destination that I thought of for Draymond if he wants to turn tail and come back to the Warriors, test free agency, see what he's worth, and then come on back. Maybe Draymond won't get the max from the Warriors. Oh, well. But the security of a, few-year deal, 3-4 years, around 20, 25 million per season makes sense for both of them. But Golden State going to end up keeping Draymond probably if no other contender wants to offer Draymond some dough and show him what they can offer to the table. And man, Golden State is retooled. I mean, they just got rid of the quote-unquote problem that was Jordan, and it was an issue between him and Draymond. Now you bring your boy back because the issue person that Draymond had problems with is gone. Now you're all hunky-dory back again in Golden State. And Dunleavy making the moves for you. Got your point guard to come off the bench. That's crazy. That is crazy. Okay, so we're still running through these deals. I'm glad we did this first to run through them as they happen instead of interrupting our Lowdown mock draft. But let's continue in this. So we've run through the possible landing spots for Draymond Green there. And, honestly, Portland is another spot as well. But it would kind of depend on this third pick and depending on how it fits in with their equation. And I'll let you know who I think I've got for pick number 3 for this draft coming up here soon. And that might entice or it might not Draymond to go ahead and maybe hang out in Phoenix with Dame Lillard. You never know. All right. So the next one we were going to get to was one of the more recent ones that has happened lately. It fell apart, and then it came back together. If you've been watching Woj and Shams and just trying to keep up with NBA news, it's Kristaps Porzingis trade. I mean, he was the head of the snake of this trade. He's one of the only ones that were still in it when it fell apart and then came back together. But the Memphis Grizzlies are in this deal as well, along with obviously the Washington Wizards, who have been doing some moves. The Memphis Grizzlies are acquiring Marcus Smart, former Defensive Player of the Year, in a 3-team deal involving Kristaps Porzingis and Tyus Jones. Shout out Duke Nation. Celtics, Wizards, and Grizzlies agreed to a 3-team trade late Wednesday night after struggling all Wednesday afternoon and morning to get something going. The original package had Malcolm Brogdon in it instead of Marcus Smart, but because of discovered apparent injuries that Brogdon may have right now, the LA Clippers, who were originally in it and who were going to get Brogdon, were no longer in it, and that's why the deal fell apart and they had to mix in something new, and that's where Memphis came into the picture again. So this deal, this 3-team trade, it sends Kristaps Porzingis, Mr. First Team All Injured, former Dallas Maverick, to the Boston Celtics to possibly stand in the corner and just shoot threes because he's not a 1-option or a 2-option out there. Guard Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies, sips Sprite. And Memphis's backup point guard, Tyus Jones, with one of the top 3 best assist-to-turnover ratios in the league, and that's coming off the bench as well, goes to the Wizards. Sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. I've said this name plenty of times, and I just butchered it a little bit. But there you have it, ladies and gents. That's a big little deal that was up and down and topsy-turvy, all types of stuff. It came together just minutes leading up to the midnight Eastern time deadline for Porzingis to opt into his $36 million player option for 2023-2024. With the deal completed, Porzingis opting in, sources said. So there you have it. Porzingis to Boston, Smart to Memphis, Jones to Wizards. There's some more in the deal, by the way. Memphis is sending Boston its first-round pick in today's draft, the 25th overall selection, which could still be a solid player, a contributor maybe. And the Golden State Warriors is top 4 protected first-round pick next year, which may not be too great. While the Celtics are sending the 35th pick in today's draft to Washington, the Celtics are also sending Danilo Gallinari and center Mike Muscala to Washington as part of the deal. And you kind of got to partially feel bad for Gallinari here. Discovered he was a Celtics fan growing up, always wanted to be a Celtic. Tore his ACL as soon as he got there, didn't get to play a minute really in the Celtics uniform, and now he's off to another team, and that's just the way things go in the NBA. This thing is a business, and that is how they treat it at all times. But those are the deals that have gone down today, and I mentioned or gone down recently, I should say, and I mentioned that the Clippers were once in the deal. I'll try and recap you on that pretty quick. The trade capped a long day of negotiations involving the Celtics and Wizards, the main constituents of this deal, over a possible Porzingis swap. After the two teams first attempted to hammer out a 3-team agreement with the Clippers, they would have sent Brogdon to LA, the 30th pick in the draft to the Wizards, and Porzingis to the Celtics. That fell apart. Boston pivoted to Memphis and allowed it all to come together just before the deadline. So that is interesting, and we'll see how things work out for all parties. It kind of stinks for Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, another one of those that was kind of surprised by the trade there. Wasn't expecting it. Planned to be a Celtic for life. And it's kind of awkward for a guy like Marcus and a little bit bleeped up, kind of, especially since, ESPN and the NBA and all, the media that covers NBA knows the reason that Marcus Smart had his hair green. It was for his mom who had passed away. And they You know how teams always do the jersey swap and things like that, which jersey swap is usually always fine. But like this time, along with the jersey swap, they turned his hair from green to blue. And a little distasteful. Just leave his hair green. Is it going to match your uniform? No, who cares? But don't his hair has a significant meaning to it. So leave that alone next time. He can have green hair in a blue jersey. And he probably will. So be on the lookout for that. Man, a lot of deals so far in this league, and there's going to be a lot of interesting things going on in today's draft. Let me tell you that. I think I have made my way through the majority of these trades so far. Let me get back and make sure that I didn't miss any, so we can get down to a mock draft here in just a second. Okay, I think I've gotten all the current trades, unless something new has popped up. Those are the big blockbuster things, and then a big free agent fish like Draymond Green, something worth talking about as well. There are some other free agents out there, and we can definitely get into those. And another time, it would probably be a lot better to do that next episode post-draft, so that we know what we can kind of do as far as putting pieces where and who actually fits with what team. So we'll get that. And BJ will be back for that. And that'll be episode number 100, ladies and gentlemen. So don't miss out on that. 100 episodes of Lowdown. Man. All right. And if you guys were taking a look at what the title of this episode is here today, I'm going to do a little redrafting too. It's almost 20 years to the day that the 2003 NBA draft happened, and superstars like LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade were all in that class. Going to see if we can go through and redraft those guys. We'll do the same thing with this redraft as we're going to do with our mock draft, and we're handling the lotto only. Handling the lotto only. Little disclaimer about the redraft. I won't be going in and tell you who was all on the team back in 2003 when these players were drafted, but we're mostly going with like best available and like comparing it to what happened when that draft actually went down, the trajectory of the careers of these players that we've seen now 20 years later, how they should have actually been drafted, what we think back in 2003. And our NBA draft, of course, our mock draft, we'll probably round out with that mock draft, to be honest. So let's go ahead and do this one from 2003. 2003. And your teams in the lottery from picks 14 up to 1 here. You've got Seattle, who would now be OKC. We'll still draft them as Seattle. Memphis Grizzlies. Seattle again. Golden State Warriors, Washington Wizards, inside the top 10 now. Number 9, New York Knicks, Milwaukee Bucks, Chicago Bulls, LA Clippers, Miami Heat, Toronto Raptors, Denver Nuggets, Detroit Pistons, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right. And ladies and gents, without further ado, the 2020, or let me rewind. The 2003 NBA Redraft is now starting. It didn't sound as cool as the first time, so I had to play it again. All right. With the first pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James. Don't think that pick was going to change. Think again. LeBron James to the Cavs. Of course, as assumed by all analysts, the chosen one, the most heralded player in all of basketball history coming out of high school, goes number 1 to his home state team of Cleveland. The story of all stories will be written in his career for the rest of eternity. whatever cliche stuff you want to hear as well. LeBron James, number 1 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Next up on the clock, the Detroit Pistons. And the pick is in. With the number 2 pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Detroit Pistons select Dwayne Wade from Marquette. Should have said LeBron James from St. Vincent St. Mary's High School, whatever. You get it. You knew he was from high school. Dwayne Wade from Marquette to the Detroit Pistons. See how that would have changed the trajectory of Detroit out there. Big time. If you're writing these down, let me know. If you're drafting along with us, redrafting. All right, and we're going by the trajectory of how their careers went, ladies and gents. All right. Let's get this on set up again. All right. With the 3rd pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Denver Nuggets select. Oh, wait. I didn't do my little jingle. Let's try that again. There you go. With the 3rd pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Denver Nuggets select Carmelo Anthony out of Syracuse. Boom. Not too bad of a draft so far, huh, ladies and gents? Man, oh man. All right. Well, there you go. Top 3 picks gone. Bron, Wade, Melo. We'll see how the rest of this shakes out. And remember, we're only doing the lottery. Only doing a lottery. But however, the Toronto Raptors have their pick. All right. With the 4th pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Toronto Raptors select Chris Bosh out of Georgia Tech. Not too much difference in this early part of this redraft right here so far, ladies and gentlemen, but you know Darko Milicic was not going number 2 in my redraft. Ha! Believe that. There go your first 4 picks. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Bosh. Okay. Let's try this again. All right. The 5th pick. That pick's not in yet. It's a tough one for the Miami Heat. Their star 2 guard was taken at number 2. What do they do to pivot here, ladies and gentlemen? Which way do they go with their pick? This is a tough one, ladies and gents. Well, they're missing a guard, so let's replace it with a guard. Miami Heat's pick is in. With the 5th pick of the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Miami Heat select TJ Ford from Texas. TJ Ford coming out of Texas. Hook 'em. Going to be a Miami Heat in this here redraft. And next up on the clock, and their pick is ready, Los Angeles Clippers. With the 6th pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Clippers select David West out of Xavier. David West, you are a Clipper. Boom. So far, through the first 6 picks, we have drafted 6 of the 9 All-Stars in this draft class. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, and now David West. There were only 3 more All-Stars at any point in their career in this draft class. You better believe these suckers, they will be in this lottery, that's for sure. See if you can remember who those other 3 players are. A little NBA throwback trivia for you there. All right. Next up on the clock, pick number 7. Their pick is ready. The Chicago Bulls. With the 7th pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Chicago Bulls select Kirk Hinrich out of Kansas. Kirk Hinrich. We're going to keep Kirk Hinrich there in Chicago. Going to make some other moves in other positions and swap some things around. But Kirk Hinrich, you are a Bull again. Chicago calling for the services of Kirk Hinrich. Had some good contributions out there. Played 13 years in the league. And the number 8 pick on the clock, Milwaukee Bucks, they are ready with their pick. With the 8th pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Chris Kaman out of Central Michigan University. Chris Kaman, one of the other 3 former All-Stars in this 2003 draft. Not a many-time All-Star. But originally drafted by the Clippers at 6, fell to 8 to the Milwaukee Bucks in this redraft here. How do you feel about it? Let me know. I can't remember what those teams were like back there in 2003, so he may fit. There may be a starting center there. I don't know. But if they do, they got quite a front court now. Quite a front court. All right, next up on the clock, at pick number 9. Oh, man. The Knicks. And the pick is in. Oh, wrong one. All right. New York Knicks. For the number 9 pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the New York Knicks select Josh Howard. Josh Howard out of Wake Forest. Josh Howard, another one of those All-Stars. Actually, there were 4 more. I was wrong about that. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there were 4 more. My bad. 4 more All-Stars on the team, and he is one of them. So we got 2 of the last 4 All-Stars back-to-back in those picks. And in 8 and 9, got 5 more picks left in this lottery. Now we're in 10 through 14. Let's see how this goes. And reminder that Seattle has 2 picks. 2 picks in these next 5 selections here. All right. Number 10, Washington Wizards. The Washington's pick is in. With the 10th pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Washington Wizards select Kyle Korver. I lost his name. Kyle Korver out of Creighton. Dang, man. Kyle Korver out of Creighton. I lost him on there. Kyle Korver originally went pick number 51 in this draft, ladies and gentlemen. Ended up being an all-star with the Hawks and one of the best pure shooters the league has ever seen. And maybe, you'd have to look at the numbers, maybe the best free throw shooter as well. Definitely one of the best. All right, there is one more lone all-star left in this draft class. We'll see if he gets drafted or not. He probably will. All right, so we're up to pick number 11 with the Golden State Warriors, and their pick is in. All right, with the 11th pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Golden State Warriors select Michael Pietrus. They keep Pietrus out there. That's the same pick. Haven't had a ton of the same picks on here. Maybe half of them have been the same. Nope, only 4. Only 4 have been the same. I'm sure y'all know which 4 of those were. All right, next up on the board is when those Seattle picks kick in. They're 2 of the next 3. Seattle Supersonics on the clock. Let's take a look and see what Seattle Supersonics could squeeze out here. They got a pair of picks, and they might keep one of the same ones. We'll see here. Let's take a look back down here at what the landscape is, see if I want to move anybody up that was lower in this draft. Okay. I like that. Definitely. Okay. I think I know where we're going with this. And what we're doing with the very next pick, too. All right. Cool. Seattle's pick is in. All right. With the 12th pick of the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Seattle Supersonics select Nick Collison from Kansas. Whoa! Nick Collison, longtime OKC Thunder / Supersonics member, back with the same team that drafted him. He did not change spots. So far, if you guys have been keeping up, let's recap some of those players that were drafted in the exact same spot they were drafted in their original 2003 draft. LeBron James at number 1, Melo at 3, Bosh at 4, Kirk Heinrich at 7, Michael Pietrus at 11, and Nick Collison at 12. I'll go ahead and give you a spoiler. These next 2 will not be the players that were selected in their positions at 13 and 14. Just a little disclaimer right there. But I'll tell you what, those picks are already in and we're ready to go. Seattle had 2. They said they picked their 2. They're ready either way this one goes. And with the 13th pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select Boris Diaw. Boris Diaw. They don't have Boris Diaw. If I haven't given you a college or anything, they don't have it listed. So, out of high school, most likely. And there are some that I imagine would be from overseas as well, but no college listed. And one more pick. Seattle is ready, ladies and gentlemen. Let's round out this draft lottery from 03. All right, with the 14th pick in the 2003 NBA Redraft, the Seattle Supersonics select Mo Williams out of Alabama. And there it is. There's your 2003 NBA Redraft, ladies and gentlemen. And all the former All-Stars were selected in the top 14 picks. Do you agree, disagree? If you check this episode out or you're listening to it live on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, let us know. You can email us or tag us on Twitter or wherever you use social media and you follow us. Just let us know how you feel about these redraft picks. They don't have anything to do with what's going on in tonight's draft, but just thought we had to have some fun for the 20-year anniversary of that draft. And the official date, 20-year anniversary, is 4 days from now. And 3 days from when you guys get this on your podcast platform. So it was June 26th in 2003 when that 2003 draft happened. Anybody want to know any of that? All right. Probably waited a little too long to do this, but I got to remind you guys, no matter what, whether BJ's here or he's not, that it's time you make sure you shop with our partners, TeePublic and Fanatics. We told you about SeatGeek. Make sure you use code the Lowdown in all caps for $20 off your first order. But make sure you go over to TeePublic as well. TeePublic, ladies and gentlemen, got all you could possibly want as far as merch for the Lowdown. T-shirts, baseball shirts, tank tops, hoodies, coffee mugs, pillows, phone cases, laptop cases, all the things you can imagine over at tpublic.com. Just make sure you use our unique link in our description when you're shopping online at TeePublic, so you make sure that you're doing some additional support for us right there, buying it through our unique link. It helps us out all the more. As well as Fanatics. Ladies and gentlemen, Fanatics has officially licensed everything, and that's where you can get all your team merch all the time. They've got NFL, NCAA, MLB, NBA, NHL, MLS, NASCAR, WWE, WNBA, golf, and F1 racing. So make sure you do all your shopping over at fanatics.com. Your favorite player could get drafted to your favorite team tonight. So make sure you go search and see if you can get some of that merch in the MLB All-Star game coming up too soon. You're going to see some Texas Rangers out there. You can go ahead and get some Ranger gear for you Texas fans out there, including myself, at fanatics.com. Check out the link in the description, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, online, they've got code 125SHIP. Free standard shipping on orders over $125 at fanatics.com. That's code 125SHIP in all caps. All right, ladies and gents. Back again. There's no personal segments today because there's no beach. We could have a very important what's on Drew's mind next week, depending on what happens in the next 24 hours or less. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be a good run next week. But no BJ's Best, no what's on Drew's mind this week, just some mock drafts. And we've got our official 2023 Lowdown mock draft coming up right now. It's time to do some drafting, ladies and gents. 2023 Lowdown mock draft happening right now. We've got a lot of heralded stars here in this draft, ladies and gentlemen, and some former perennial winners in franchises like the San Antonio Spurs at the top of things in terms of rebuilding their franchise and getting things good again out there in San Antonio, as well as some other teams who have been in the abyss for a while and haven't been able to get out of it. The Charlotte Hornets, who haven't seen many playoff appearances in the last 10 to 12 years. Portland Trailblazers, who have never been able to get over the hump. And the Houston Rockets, who are in a full-out rebuild mode, are rounding out your top four here. And we'll see if our draft lines up with the draft that is coming tonight. As we record on a Thursday, for all you listeners out there, it is mock draft time, and we're still hopping with the same old cool jingle when it's time to get these draft picks in. So let's go ahead and open the 2023 NBA Draft. The San Antonio Spurs are on the clock, and would you believe it or not, their pick is in. For the first pick in the 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama out of France. Center, 7'4", 237 pounds. No mystery here as the San Antonio Spurs were stalking their prey from the moment they got that pick in the draft lottery in rebuilding what was once and still is a proud franchise, but trying to bring itself back to stardom and on top of the mountaintop with a future franchise changer, they hope, in Victor Wembanyama out there in San Antonio. So there's pick number one, and there's been a lot of controversy about who's going to be at pick number two, a lot of back and forth with the odds at Caesar Sportsbook and things like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. With the second pick in the 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller, small forward out of Alabama. Man, Miller, a prototypical 3-and-D wing who can fit next to a point guard like LaMelo Ball. He could probably expand his game and become a pro-ready player a lot faster alongside a player who can help elevate his game and get him the ball. And LaMelo Ball can sure as hell do that. LaMelo Ball, one of the bright young stars in this league, and putting Brandon Miller right beside him. It's a recipe to maybe start the upward trend for the Hornets to get back in the playoffs. Maybe. We'll just have to see. And we won't be doing any trades here. That stuff's too complicated, and some of it doesn't even sound right. Some of it doesn't sound realistic. Even when they're coming from the major people who propose those trades, The Athletic, CBS Sports, ESPN, things like that. A Mavs trade came up today. It was Tim Hardaway in the number 10 pick to the Houston Rockets for Jayshawn Tate, Kenyon Martin Jr. in the 15th pick. No, Mavs don't want that. But we know what Portland wants with the third pick because they're on the clock and their pick is in. Right. With the third pick in the 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Scoot Henderson, point guard from the G League Ignite. Given all the controversy around which spot Scoot Henderson was going to go to, I'm sure he would have no problem sliding to the 2 and playing alongside Damian Lillard and becoming a dynamic backcourt mate. It's a he's a really good prospect. He's the Trailblazers aren't too long removed from their trip to the conference finals. It was less than a handful of years ago where Dame was able to get him there. And if you have a healthy Yusuf Nurkic alongside things, that has also been a big caveat of why the Portland Trailblazers can't go anywhere, because they're big who has the ability to get 20 and 20. I'm not saying on any given night, but he's gotten it before, some dynamic stats when healthy. It almost has me in disbelief sometimes what Nurkic can do. But you add Scoot Henderson with Nurkic, Damian Lillard, let's assume they keep Anthony Simons. They tried to deal him a little bit. I think Henderson is an extremely dynamic point or a guard. I mean, he's point guard, but extremely dynamic guard. It would be surprising if he had a better career than Wembanyama, but we're not going to say it's not possible. He definitely got a chance to have a better career than Brandon Miller, but it also all depends on how those teams do as they continue on playing. Let's continue down in this mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. The Houston Rockets up, and their pick is in. All right. With the fourth pick in the 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the Houston Rockets select Amen Thompson, 6'6" forward from the Overtime Elite. Great for the Rockets there. I mean, they got a boatload of young talent. I imagine they're going to ship off some players to add veteran presence around some of their young guys, because it's never a good thing to have an entire team full of youngsters, because you won't win games. Not in this league, not with the way teams are shaped and the way super teams are forming, and the way players have such dynamic skill over the years, that you can't just have a young, fiery run up and down team that's going to get you wins. Can they run up and down? Yes. Will they be in good shape? Yes. But will they be able to outsmart the veterans of this league and, make waves, make differences, and make the playoffs? Absolutely not. So Houston's going to have to do some wheeling and shuffling to get some veteran presence around those young guys if they want to do any type of competing and try and get back to relevancy, which they once were back when they at least had James Harden and company. All right. Now to pick number 5. Some of this is chalky, some of it's not. You'll just have to see as we go along. Some stuff will be switching around And up next, we got the Detroit Pistons at pick number 5, and that one is in. With the 5th pick in the 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the Detroit Pistons select Taylor Hendricks, forward out of UCF. A lot of people talk and say that, other players should be up here in this 5th spot. Cam Whitmore and maybe Asur Thompson as well, among others. Lively the second has been brought up in talks about jumping inside the top 10, maybe not this high, but on conversations as well. Hendricks should be a really nice fit in Detroit. They've got Bagley the third out there, but he really hasn't been able to really catch a rhythm out there, and maybe it'll motivate Bagley to play a little bit so he can really kind of get into what he was trying to be in this league. Because Bagley coming out of Duke was a big-time player. But Taylor Hendricks, he fits pretty seamlessly here. He's a stretch 4, capable of both defensive switching and rim protection, which, every team needs rim protection. But that versatility to be able to switch positions, and it's probably like 3 through 5. I'm saying maybe not up to the 2, but switching positions 3 through 5. He's got some weak spots to work on as a big. He's kind of just a rim rocker and a runner. Mainly is probably what his role will be. But his weak spots are kind of handling the ball and creating his own shot. But won't need to do too much of that when you got point guard Cade Cunningham coming back healthy and a young star in Jaden Ivey that will be trying to become a different player to help make his team better as well. Okay, full trade details are releasing right now from the Beal trade here. It says Wizards land 6 second-round picks and 4 first-round pick swaps from the Suns in a blockbuster Bradley Beal deal. Okay, maybe the Suns really didn't win. They mortgaged their future for Bradley Beal. Maybe one of the stars on the team said that they needed Beal, and they made the stuff happen. But it's just that's an extremely weak bench out there in Phoenix now. But anyway, that's the top 5 picks in this draft. Let's move on to number 6 here. All right. And at the 6th pick, it is the Orlando Magic, and their pick is in. Let's speed this up a little bit. With the 6th pick in the 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the Orlando Magic select Cam Whitmore, forward from Villanova. I thought about swapping this pick and the next pick, just mixing up a couple of small forwards, but didn't do that. Decided to keep Cam Whitmore here and put him on the Magic. Ideally, the Magic would like a point guard prospect here, but they simply can't pass on a guy like Whitmore, who's an extreme athlete. I mean, you get a Nova kid, and, you usually got a good player here. He's got great catch and shoot promise from his days at Villanova. He's excellent cutting and outstanding above the rim as a freak athlete and high flyer. He'll be nice next to young stars Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. Maybe the Magic can squeeze a veteran point into what they're doing here, because that would probably be more ideal than drafting one. So it's good that I and them will likely go with a forward prospect here. Now the Indiana Pacers are on the clock, ladies and gentlemen, and their pick is in. With the 7th pick in the 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the Indiana Pacers select Anthony Black, point guard from Arkansas. You may be thinking, whoa, what you doing here? Well, I mean, originally Anthony Black was expected to go next to the Washington Wizards, but we know how many guards they have out there right now, even though they've shipped out Chris Paul recently as we've been doing this draft. I couldn't change what I was doing, ladies and gents. I had my mind made up that Anthony Black was going to be an Indiana Pacer. And by golly, he is. You could be a backup out there to Halliburton, or they could find a way to play both of them at the same time. So we'll figure out how that works. His floor is relatively high, given a really high basketball IQ coming out of Arkansas. His three-pointer needs a little bit of work, only 30% coming out of college his freshman year. He may be the best playmaker in this draft, not named Scoot Henderson, and has good upside on both sides of the ball. frankly, and has the ability to guard multiple positions at his 6'6" frame. So 6'6" point guard to go out there with Rick Carlisle. Carlisle will find some work for him for sure. Next up, the Washington Wizards coming up with the 8th pick in this draft. Unless, no, I don't think this was why the ones moved. And their pick is ready to go. With the 8th pick in the 2023 Lowdown Mock Draft, the Washington Wizards select Usar Thompson, forward from the Overtime Elite. I hope I pronounced his name right. If I didn't, we'll start fining us for that. Wizards need some size. I mean, he's not necessarily a big center like Porzingis, but, he adds size to the team, 6'6", small forward, 218, can score the ball. He could run. So he can stick along with guys like Tyus Jones, who's not a turnover machine and could run the ball alongside him and get him the best quality shots possible. He's an elite transition finisher. So, along with what I just said about, Tyus, that just makes it so much easier, depending on Tyus, whether he stays out there in Washington or not. But any good point guard that knows how to pass the ball would be effective for a guy who's so great in transition and is good really off the ball here. Could be a really good defender in the future. If the three-point shot gets better, it's only 29%. Excuse me, only 29%. Then, goodness, who knows what his ceiling could be, to be honest. With that type of frame, he could be a really dynamic player in this league for a while. All right. The 9th pick, Utah Jazz up on the board, and their pick is in. Ooh. All right. With the 9th pick in the 2023 Lowdown Mock Draft, the Utah Jazz select Jarace Walker, forward from Houston. Jarace Walker, he could help bring some defensive identity to a Jazz team that, despite almost extremely overachieving last year and making the playoffs, they still overachieved, came up with, Lauri Markkanen's big-time year. I think he ended up being an all-star and a, most improved player candidate if he didn't win it. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But the Jazz, they've got potential to mix some things up here and give some teams some trouble in the West. You add Jarace Walker to that. He's already possessing an NBA body at that frame at just 19 years old, 6'7", 250 pounds. He's capable of guarding multiple positions, even with that frame, and cleaning up all the boards off the glass. If he's ever able to expand his game and be a little bit more efficient of a three-point shooter, then man, Utah Jazz would get a diamond in the rough here at number 9. And number 10, one I've been waiting for, y'all. Dallas Mavericks are on the clock. Their pick is in. All right. I liked what I've seen from some mocks, and I'm not changing the way I was going here. And y'all know what college team I'm a fan of. I'm going to make this pick for us, right? With the 10th pick in the 2023 Lowdown Mock Draft, the Dallas Mavericks, who didn't trade their pick, select Derek Lively II, center out of Duke. He's a prototypical rim-running, shot-blocking center. Oh, man, we need that. We've had one or the other for a year in and year out. Y'all remember, what was his first name? It's like, is it direct? No. Oh, Brandon Wright. There you go. Y'all remember Brandon Wright out here when we had nearly like a mini Lob City with JJ and Brandon Wright? What a time. So, there's your running guy, his rim running that'll get some lobs and some dunks in. But Brandon Wright didn't provide the shot blocking really. Maybe a little bit, but nothing, worth noting. And now we get a chance to draft a center again who can shot block and adds rim running to his repertoire, which I don't know if necessarily Walker Kessler was that guy. with that frame. But 7'1", 230 pounds, Lively the second. Could be a perfect fit next to Luka and possibly Kyrie. Kyrie stays, but I know it's going to help the Dallas Mavericks. It's exactly what they need. And he'd be the first center to come off the board here. I believe I've only did some drafting of power forwards and as far as the bigs go. So, yeah, Lively the second, first one to come off the board, Mavericks. He could be the center of the future for us. You know, that's ideally what Walker Kessler should have been last year. But he is going to be in the dunker spot and being a part of all types of playmaking opportunities from Luka Doncic and or Kyrie Irving this year. And Lively the second going to really help out the Mavs there. And you don't have to worry about trying to stretch him out to the three. He's not really a three-point shooter. I mean, he didn't really get a whole lot of probably opportunities to shoot the three, I would say, but 15% from three is just not inspiring. So we'll keep him around the rim doing what he does best. And he's got a 7'7" wingspan. Oh, my gosh. He can catch anything Luka throws up there. All right. The 11th pick as we round out the last handful here. Going to the Orlando Magic. They're back on the board. Their pick is in. The 11th pick in the Lowdown mock draft, the Orlando Magic select Hold on. Last minute change. All right. Yep, last minute change. The Orlando Magic select Carson Wallace, point guard out of Kentucky. I had to remember earlier that I drafted a small forward already. Didn't want to draft another small forward for the Orlando Magic. Franz Wagner, I'm pretty sure his original position is small forward, so he'd have to scoot over for the pick from earlier to get playing anyway. And Cam Whitmore, I almost forgot his name, to get to playing. And you don't need three small forwards for the Orlando Magic. You need a guard out there to help things out. And whether Carson Wallace becomes a starting point guard or he comes off the bench for whoever they get, he'll still be a solid addition. They definitely need somebody who can run the show out there in Orlando. He profiles as an elite perimeter defender as well. Somehow has a 6'8" wingspan, 6'3", and a stout frame. He's 195 pounds. He's got good playmaking and crafty finishing around the rim. So that's definitely going to help Orlando in the scoring department because they need to be able to put up some points to put pressure on teams. And right now they really can't do that as often as they would like to. Okay. Now number 12, the OKC Thunder on the board. And their pick is in. With the 12th pick in the Lowdown 2023 Lowdown mock draft, the OKC Thunder select Grady Dick, forward from Kansas. OKC known for taking big swings, but this one not the craziest swing. Got a guy that can play, make, and do some shooting out here. Grady Dick, arguably the best shooter in this draft. And he's got legitimate size at 6'6". He's been described as a more athletic Kyle Korver, which, I mean, if you could really be that type of shooter as well, which, I mean, he's known to be a good shooter, and he's 40% marksman from three-point range in his freshman year at Kansas. Man, he's going to be perfect in a fit for a rebuilding Thunder squad. And that would probably help take the pressure off of what's his name? Why am I forgetting? It's Josh Giddey. There we go. I'm so glad I got that name. Take some pressure off of Josh Giddey and just add another playmaker to the mix because OKC Thunder really don't have a bunch. I mean, like SGA can distribute a little bit, but he's not a pass first point guard per se. Okay. Next up, we've got the 13th pick in the draft. It's going to the Toronto Raptors. Their pick is in. They're ready. With the 13th pick in the Lowdown mock draft, the Toronto Raptors select Bilal Koulibaly. Man, I butchered his name. That's a tough one. Find me. Forward out of France. Raptors, they got Spicy P, who's, I believe his original position is a small forward, but he probably slides to the 4 more than anything. And you add Bilal right beside him, who is a marksman from 3, 45% from three-point range last year, who, like, the attempts, maybe not the craziest in the world, but 45% is 45%, whether you're shooting, 4 a game or you're shooting 8 a game. I mean, it's still good efficiency. A teammate of Victor Wembanyama, who's rapidly rising up NBA draft boards. As you see, he was taken to 13 here by the Raptors in our draft here. He's got such rapid – he's a rep – I'm going to try to say this right. He's rapidly growing as a young 18-year-old. He showed that growth in such a short period of time in the top French league alongside Victor Wembanyama. I mean, didn't put up the numbers as him, but still going to be a good prospect for the Toronto Raptors going forward. And the last one in this lottery, ladies and gentlemen, the 14th pick to the New Orleans Pelicans, and that pick is in. With the 14th pick in the Lowdown mock draft to round out this lottery, the New Orleans Pelicans select Kobe Buffin, sophomore out of Michigan. Kobe Buffin, good player, 35.5% from three-point range, ranked 4th at his position. New Orleans could use some backcourt help. He doesn't necessarily have to be the starter, but he could start. New Orleans has C.J. McCollum out there as their starting 2, so depending on what his playmaking skills are like, he's just a 3 assists game, sophomore out of Michigan. But who knows? He's not a bad passer, though, so it just those assists would obviously go up with dynamic players alongside him. CJ Zion, if he comes back healthy, Jonas Valanciunas, and Brandon Ingram. So he's opened a lot of eyes in the conclusion of his final season at Michigan through this pre-draft process. He operates the pick and roll well, has both the passer and the scorer. He has a 6'8" wingspan and allows him to get a lot of deflections, which can help him more than hold his own on a stout Pelicans defense. So he would fit right in, and they've got a lot of length on that squad already with Herb Jones and some others. So they're a really lengthy basketball team who really only was trifled by health last year. And I mean, if they can have a clean bill of health, at least for the most part, you can see the Pelicans in the playoffs this next year. And that is the conclusion of our Lowdown mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. We're only doing the lottery, as you can see how long that takes in general already. But there's your 2003 20th anniversary redraft and the 2023 NBA draft that will be going on tonight. So make sure you check out that draft tonight. We'll see how close our picks got to the picks that happen here later. I imagine there'll be some deals going on and some deals that will either help or hurt some of our picks made today, but picks made all the same, and we'll see how the draft goes. It's going to be fun. 2 days worth of it, day 1, day 2, picking teams. My Mavericks going at 10. Hopefully we get in the guy that I drafted, because it just makes all the sense in the world unless we trade it and bring somebody in that's already a veteran rim protector. I'll take that too. But we appreciate you joining us here for this solo edition of the Lowdown Mock Draft, ladies and gentlemen. I had to try to bring up some energy for you guys today. It's been a while since I did a Dolo show, no BJ or no guest host. So hopefully I brought plenty of energy for you guys today in our draft. So I appreciate everybody showing up who attended our live session today, if I get some words. And I want to give you all an update on what's going on with the Lowdown. The Lowdown has been expanding. We now are a network, the Lowdown Network. So if you're watching us on Twitch or YouTube, you can see that in the @ name now, as things have been changed to the Lowdown Network for Twitch and YouTube purposes. Our individual handle for the Lowdown, this show, is still the same. It's at @the_Lowdown, THA_Lowdown on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are our socials now. Twitch and YouTube is the whole network social. So the Lowdown Network on Twitch and YouTube. For the Lowdown socials, It's Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow the Lowdown CBB, the Lowdown College Basketball at the Lowdown CBB over on Twitter. They have a Twitter account. And soon we'll be pulling out a golf podcast here soon. You never know what the Lowdown Network can cook up. We're expanding outside of basketball too. So we're looking to continue expansion on this network. So if you're a podcaster out there, you're interested in podcasting, don't feel too scared to hit us up and to see if you could possibly make a show as well or join us and possibly help out with this network. We're expanding, so we're open to people wanting to inquire about joining us. But yeah, we've got Lowdown College Basketball who didn't get to record yesterday due to some outages, but they're supposed to be on here, I believe, tomorrow. So make sure you check that out after listening to our release coming out, and we'll keep you updated on when that golf podcast will be coming to fruition, possibly later in the summer. So without further ado, make sure you follow us on those socials I mentioned: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at _Lowdown. That's THA_Lowdown on all those socials. And, of course, follow the Lowdown Network on Twitch and YouTube at the Lowdown Network. We appreciate you guys joining us. BJ will be back next week for episode number 100, and then we'll have a couple of guests in the following week. So be on the lookout for some guest appearances coming up on Lowdown after episode 100 next week with me and BJ. So without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. This is Drew signing off for another episode of Lowdown Sports Show.